All right. Well, next we've got Tony. He's from Toronto. Hi there, Tony. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Right. So my question was, how do you propose depopulation of the planet without causing genocide or mass poverty or some kind of immoral practice?
What we're seeing is already happening. There's, as I said in the earlier caller, once you have educated women who have control over their bodies, they tend to have far fewer children. So wherever we can put resources, and here's my plan for depopulating the planet: educate women, give them control over their bodies, make birth control available free. That's pretty simple. It's not a hard thing to achieve unless you've got a bunch of religious people saying no, they don't want that, and getting in the way politically. It's not a real hard thing to start depopulating. I have a lot of women friends who never wanted to have children, don't want to have children now. So all the children they would have been forced to have if they had lived in Brazil, or if they'd lived in Nigeria, they'd lived in China maybe before the one-child policy. All those children do not exist today. And look at the research on, for example, abortion. Well, one of the things the religionists don't like hearing is that when Roe versus Wade in the United States was the court put out Roe versus Wade that gave women the right to control their own bodies and the right to have an abortion if they want to, the number of babies born dropped precipitously. First 10 years of my career was in the juvenile justice system. Most of the kids I had to deal with day to day were unwanted babies. Interesting thing about the study that came out about 1999 or so, sociologists, I can't remember the direct reference, I don't have it at my fingertip, they documented that as Roe versus Wade started taking effect on our society, the numbers of juvenile delinquents dropped dramatically. Now, let me just give you an example. Here in Kansas, when I was a psychologist in the late 70s and through early 80s, psychologist in a juvenile justice institution, we were always full, overflowing. We always had to turn kids down, or the courts are trying to put people in. We couldn't take them. You know what? In Kansas right now, there used to be three institutions for juveniles. Now there's roughly 1/2 of an institution for juveniles. That's how much drop there has been in juvenile delinquency in Kansas. But it's true across the United States. Why? Because abortion allowed women to choose if they wanted to have a child or not, have control over their own body. So is there an easily ethical way? Yeah, the ethical way is to let women have control over their bodies, and the population will drop. We're already seeing it. We're seeing it in all sorts of countries. And nobody's being forced to have an abortion. Nobody's been forced to take birth control, and yet it's naturally happening. And you name the developed country, and it's happening.
To add on to what Dr. Ray is talking about here, there's other statistics that you can look at, like from the organizations that look over like Planned Parenthood and other, women's health along with abortion services. But the more accessible women's health information is, as well as health services are, the less teen pregnancies there are, the less unwanted pregnancies there are, and that's at least that's what the data shows here in the United States. So whenever like somebody passes a law that ends up shutting down like health clinics and stuff like that for women, they're actually contributing to the problems that they actually want to alleviate. They're restricting access to these important services. So I think that exactly what Dr. Ray is saying here is probably what we need to do is educate people on sex as well as provide services that some religious institutions might consider to be sinful. Which for the Catholic Church would not only be abortion services, but also contraception. And so, I think that if we educate people and remove the stigma of a lot of these things, that it will help correct like population problems naturally without the need of genocide.
How is abortion anyway ethical? And another thing I want to say is the problem with abortion is you're killing babies. And
no, you're not killing babies.
Right?
You're taking a fetus that has nothing but cells. Period.
Right.
You don't have evidence that a fetus is nothing but cells.
You have not read your own Bible. Your own Bible says a person is not a person until they take their first breath. That comes right out of the Old Testament. And that's been true for Christians and Jews since the beginning. Your own Bible says that. This whole thing about being against abortion is a fairly new concept.
I'm not talking about the Bible here. I'm talking about when does a person become a person? Because what happens is, how do you distinguish between a baby that's out of the woman's womb and a baby that's inside of the woman's womb? How do you distinguish between the two? And how do you say, oh, this one's alive because it's out of the woman's womb, and this one isn't alive just because it's in the woman's womb? To me, that's not being alive. That is a living being, unless you propose for killing babies outside of the woman's womb.
No. Please don't go there. No, hold on. Stop. No, listen, you need to stop or we'll mute you. First of all, nobody is proposing killing babies. We're rejecting the idea that abortion is killing a baby. And also you're mixing up the definitions here of when does somebody become a person and when do you consider something to be alive, or how do you define being alive? I think personhood and something being alive are kind of two different things there. As far as personhood goes, I think that as soon as a fetus can actually survive outside of the womb, at that point you could potentially consider that to be a person. If you knew anything about hold on, I'm not done. If you knew anything about abortion statistics, you would understand that most abortions occur prior to the baby's development to the point where it could survive out of the womb, or the fetus rather. Another thing is that the later term abortions that do occur when the baby could be considered a person are normally done because of some kind of medical emergency or medical reason. Either the fetus or baby won't survive the birthing process, or the baby is or fetus is potentially killing the mother, while she's still pregnant. There are multiple different reasons as to why why an abortion would be medically necessary, and later term abortions are most often, if not nearly all, of that reason medically necessary. So what we're talking about are fetuses that can't survive outside of the womb, are barely even recognizable as babies, as you would put it. So nobody is suggesting the murder or killing of babies. Nobody is even suggesting abortion as like the solution for the overpopulation problem. In fact, if you would actually listen to what I was saying, you would understand that I said that the wider access to information around sex and contraception, and just educating people in general in these women health clinics, you actually reduce the amount of abortions because you reduce the amount of unwanted pregnancies because you're actually educating people. So, I mean, if you want less abortions to happen, then what you need is to provide wider access to abortion services and information for people, and to properly educate people instead of doing this, abstinence-only education in schools.
Because right after Roe v. Wade happened, the amount of abortions increased dramatically, right? So it's not about education. It's about giving women privileges to kill a baby. And the problem with abortion, and to me, is women have the ability to abort their baby or their fetus, whatever you want to call it. But the problem is the man has no say in whether the baby should be aborted or not. And
I'm sorry, did men magically start carrying fetuses?
Let me finish, please. If the baby is born, then the man is forced to pay child support on that baby. So you're not actually giving women rights. You're giving women privileges because they have the ability to choose whether they can kill their baby or not. And if they choose to have the baby, then the man has to pay for child support. So, yeah.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, a man can give up all rights, like to parenthood of a child. I mean, I would think he can't. Yeah, I mean, you can. I know that's a thing. That's a thing that happens. You know, giving up all of your rights to your child.
You're confusing two things. You're talking about some so-called men's rights over here. That's nothing to do with abortion. What we're talking about is a woman's right to her own body. You might not even know a woman is pregnant and she can go have an abortion. You have no right to her body and making decisions about her body, period. There's no reason. It's ridiculous to think a man has a right to a woman's body.
Hey, do you think women should legislate whether or not you get castrated? Or, not castrated. That's a little bit different.
Vasectomy.
Vasectomy. That's what I meant. A vasectomy. Should women be able to legislate whether or not you can have a vasectomy?
Should men legislate whether women should have their tubes tied? Because that's the same argument. It
is the same argument, and I would say no. But I would also say that you, you as a man, should not be dictating whether or not a woman can seek any kind of medical care. And that's what abortion services is. That's what any of these services are. It's health care. You should not restrict a woman's ability to get health care.
That's fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. But as soon as the woman has the baby, then the government should also allow me to keep my money and not give my money to pay child support. Because then
give up all your rights. You're just kind of sounding like a dick right now. That's all you're doing.
Go get a vasectomy.
If you don't want to have anything, get a vasectomy so that you don't have to. That's a good point there, Dr. Ray.
I got a vasectomy when I was 33 years old because I didn't want to have any more kids, regardless of what women I was with. And it's great. It's a miracle. I haven't had any more kids, but I've had a hell of a lot of sex. It's a good way to live. I'm just telling you, Tony, get a fucking vasectomy and then go fuck all you want.
I'm not against having a vasectomy. I'm not against women having an abortion. What I am against is if you're going to have an abortion, that if it's going to be your baby, your body, your choice, then it's my money, my choice. That's all.
Well, go talk to the government.
Like I said, right? You can you can give up
one way or the other.
You can relinquish all your rights.
You want the government out of women's body, and the government should stay out of my pocket. That's all.
Are you seriously comparing pregnancy to taxes and shit?
It's not a tax. It's forcing men to pay for children that they may or may not want, because half of the children.
I kind of feel like you're having to pay child support, and you're just kind of pissed about it.
Then he should have a say. Either he has a say in the abortion, or he has a say in whether you pay for the child or not. But men have no say.
Okay. Cool story, bro. Do you have any final thoughts before we go to a more productive call?
Well, I'm sorry this wasn't productive for you, but I'm just giving you guys the perspective.
No, but please, I really don't think that hearing some guy who sounds eerily like an MRA, talk about how men shouldn't be paying, child support for, children that they had with a woman.
Force women to why is the government out of women's bodies but in men's pockets? That's what I want to know. How is that not hypocrisy? I don't think you have an answer for that.
Women's uteruses are not your pocket.
And you chose to have sex. Evidently had chose to have unprotected sex. You could have used a condom. I mean, you're in control of some of this, So you don't want to have
a lot of things.
A lot of things that you are not taking responsibility.
You can see that to the woman too.
Take responsibility for your own. Take responsibility.
If she can be on birth control.
I would like to finish a sentence. Take responsibility for your own behavior, and then you won't have any trouble. Your trouble, or the trouble you're hypothesizing, is a result of you not taking responsibility for your own birth control. Get a vasectomy. Use condom. Encourage your partner to have birth control, and then you don't have to worry. So accidental babies. Go ahead.
I can say that about take birth control, take proper precautions, and you don't have to worry about having an abortion.
I'm kind of confused here at the end of this because on the one hand, I felt like you were very anti-abortion, but here at the end, I kind of feel like you're complaining about us, saying that, less abortions, and you're like, wow, but then I'll have to pay child support. Oh no. I mean, if you don't want a kid, wrap it up or don't have sex.
I just think it should be one or the other, right? If the government's going to be inside of a woman's choice and a man's choice, then a man should decide whether she has an abortion or not as well. The government should stay out of it.
Yeah, very simplistic.
Stay out of a woman's body. Then they should stay out of a man's body, right? So
I would suggest
I'm not one way or the other. I just don't like hypocrisy.
Well, I don't hear any hypocrisy here. I hear a lot of irresponsibility on the male's part. And it sounds to me like got pretty black and white thinking, not very nuanced, not very understanding about the various components of this problem or issue. So I don't think we're going to solve this here today.
Yeah, well, it's clearly unethical what you're proposing for depopulation against males, of course. It's okay as long as you screw over males, as long as you fuck males.
Yes.
Fine, right?
Oh, definitely. We're definitely looking to screw over the privileged males out there as far as the abortion context goes. That's definitely where we're thinking right now. All right, I appreciate you calling in, Tony, but I'm gonna have to drop your call right now because I'm tired of dealing with that. That was a hot mess right there. I feel like he fucked around and he just didn't want to find out is what the situation was.
Yeah, he kept switching horses on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like he didn't want to be held accountable for his actions, being that, he fucked around and he, got someone pregnant. And then it's like, well, I guess he as the man should have the sole discretion as to whether or not the woman gets an abortion. And I've never seen like privilege exposed on such a more blatant level,
Yeah.
It's just
I suspect he belongs to some men's rights group. I see this argument. I say this argument a lot among privileged males, and they usually don't know how. My experience and my observation, and this is going off a limb here, is that they don't know how to have a good relationship, and they think they have a right for sex, even though they don't have the skills to have a relationship with someone of the opposite sex or any gender. Anyway, I'm ready for another call. What's we got here?
Yeah.